So
Oh,
is it,
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone that can hear the sound of my voice to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we venture our petty and ill-informed opinions about a variety of topics. Joining me for the first time in what feels like years, Kevin, welcome.
I couldn't pass it up, mate. I just couldn't pass it up. Not after this week of lunar, no, it wasn't even lunar, interspatial debate that everybody's going through as to whether these women went to space or not.
Ugh, I'm so over conspiracy theories, mate. It's not even funny. Well, it used to be all I lived for, but these days it's just reality's fucking twisted enough. We don't need to make it even worse. You know what I mean?
Well, yes. Well, it's just funny that my point is, Richard, when you were growing up, what did you ever want to be an astronaut? When my generation, that's one of the main things people said they wanted to be.
I actually wanted to be a paleontologist when I was growing up.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in my day, back in the day, I suppose that's because I was born. When I was born, they were still going to the moon, and that was a big thing, was being able to be an astronaut. So if I had the money, and I know that people say, okay, well, it costs a lot of money, but if you're a multimillionaire spending $1 million to go up into space, probably not that much money. And
No.
if you had the chance to do it, wouldn't you not do it? Would you not do it if you wanted it? If you
Not
wanted to.
after the Titanic sub thing. No, I would not trust a billionaire's space shuttle to take me to space.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, the
I'm
the
just
different
being
the
honest.
difference between those two things. I mean, if I had to choose between dying in the vacuum of space or dying in the vacuum of the waters outside Newfoundland, which would you choose? I
Right.
mean, you
I
were go-
wouldn't get on the submarine and I wouldn't get on the ship. Why'd you have to choose?
oh, okay, all right then. What would you spend $1.25 million on then? I know I said that wrong. $1.25 million on.
What would I spend $1.25 million on? That's
Yes.
a good question. Probably a big house in the country, and I'd convert half of it into an Airbnb. And yeah,
See,
that's it.
that's just practical.
I'm like the worst person to ask because like I'm very boring. Like
Yeah,
Nikki would be a really good one to ask about that because she loves money. So
yeah. Well, according to the movie Office Space, do you remember the movie Office Space?
I love that movie so much. It's really
Yeah.
good.
Hey, what would you do with $1 million? Two chicks at the same time. All right. Well, all right. Moving on with that. Sorry, I moved on. What do you want to talk about this week, Richard?
I was quite happy listening to the millionaires and the possibly faked going into space thing.
Well, if you look at it, people are making the distinction, I think, between a item that has been in space in the outer orbit versus an inner orbit mistake. You remember whenever that guy, I think he was doing it for Red Bull or something like that, went on to the edges of space and actually broke through the stratosphere, and he was using like a high altitude balloon or something, and he actually could see the curvature of the Earth and all that. It was in the lower bits of space, but then he jumped out down, and then he did like the ultimate halo jump. You know what I mean? So high altitude, low opening jump. And so he actually crossed the barrier of space into the atmosphere, and didn't, that was the thing. If you're low enough, I don't think you heat up enough that becomes an issue. It's only whenever you're generating enough heat by going into the upper atmosphere. It's not like these folks are like going around the planet. You know what I mean? It's just going up and coming down.
Yeah.
Is that very much different from who was the first American in space? Glenn, not John Glenn. John Glenn. Yeah, he was only up there for a minute, less than a minute, came down, and everybody says, oh, well, what did he do? Well, he didn't do really anything. He rode up on the rocket. It went up. He came down, and that was it. It's not any different from what these women did. Obviously there's an element of risk in that. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like going into real space, though, is it?
No, it's not. It's not like orbiting the Earth. It's not like orbiting the Earth. But you remember, the old conspiracy theories, about like all these, the secret Russian space thing that we're trying to put people in space long before Yuri Gagarin made it into space, and that they supposedly these two Italian brothers had been recording, people going around the thing that just got lost in space and died when they ran out of oxygen and that. So it's an interesting thing. Space has never been one of those things where there hasn't been a conspiracy theory about it. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I mean, no, space is like the big conspiracy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did we actually go, according to the flat earthers, who are frankly moronic at this stage? But
well, the thing that you'd say about that is that it mathematics doesn't lead to their having much credence. But in your own world, if you want to go ahead and think whatever you want to think, I mean, it's the whole idea of the Bible says that it's the firmament, meaning flat, that I can't get past. Yeah,
I mean,
whatever.
That gets a bit dodgy. But like the space race thing is another interesting one that, because like you said, you grew up at a time when they were going to the moon a lot, and then we just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been a bit weird, that, hasn't it? Just like, we're not going to do that anymore.
Well, I think that the main reason for that is that the Cold War plays a lot into it. You see, I think that the idea of the reason that we wanted to make it to space supposedly was because we were so afraid of the Russians going to space that they would then put a missile, a nuclear missile base on the moon that they could just launch nukes from the moon towards Earth. So that was the main thing. But once they had proven that somebody could go to the moon and that, whether the Russians ever intended on going to the moon or not is irrelevant, because they got to suspend millions and millions and millions of dollars going to the moon for really no purpose.
That's not even the most ridiculous thing that happened during the Cold War. I mean, there was that whole fucking psychic core. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was the whole idea behind the men who stare at goats. That film, which is an excellent film.
It's one of my favorite movies, and at the beginning of it, it says more of this is true than you would believe. And I'm like, yeah, I 100% believe that America started a psychic core because the Russians did during the Cold War. I'm 100% on that. I'm 100% on the Barney the dinosaur thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true. What did they say in the movie? At the start of the movie
we have to do it because they're doing it.
They have to do it because they think we're doing it or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
100% believe all of that. All of that,
Yeah.
I'm on board with all the way.
Well, it does match up with the whole idea of the MK Ultra, you know, ideas of how to do that and all those things that would be acceptable, especially in the military. Whenever they just seem to do weird things for no reason other than you're being told to do it, you know. So therefore, that's what we're going to do. But yeah, no, I would believe that whole thing was true, honestly. But
MK Ultra never really struck me as a weird. Well, I grew up in a time when we already knew it was true, so that's probably why.
well, yeah, but the thing that goes along with that, I guess, whenever I'm talking about MK Ultra, I'm talking about not the fact that they would give people LSD and to try to pacify people, and that's one of the reasons why they developed LSD to give to who was that guy Timothy Leary, and then he was the big advocate of it because they thought what people who were on LSD were far less likely to fight back in the situation where um, um, you were trying to institute a tyrannical government. Yeah. But the idea that the thing that was weird for me is that the conspiracy theory was that they were using a bakery or some kind of a bakery in Spain to dose people with LSD, to see how it went. Like the U.S. government was coming across the border from Germany into Spain, and then dosing people in this town in Spain to see how they would react. But then they came up with a theory that it was ergot poisoning or whatever that thing is that gives you the same kind of effect. That the idea of the mold or whatever happens on grain, and then it turns into some kind of hallucinogenic thing. Like whatever you remember, you told that one story about the people that were the dancing people. They
The
got
dancing plague. Yeah.
yes, that they got. That was one of the theories on that they had ergot poisoning. Or what I think it really is, it proves that the CIA have time travel machines, and they went back in time to Germany and instituted an MK Ultra plan. What do you think of that one? That's a slice of fried gold.
I thought you were going to say the CIA went back in time and started the dancing plague.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that was France, not Germany.
Oh, France. Well, wherever it is, not America.
No, it wasn't in America.
Yeah. They had to come to Europe to avoid tariffs.
No, not a political show. Not a political show.
No, I'm just saying if they would have tried to import grain to America,
Kevin.
Yeah, I know. I was just using that as a historical advertisement.
I know you weren't here when Phil and Nikki had the massive argument, but we don't talk about politics on this show anymore.
Oh, no. There's no point. Honestly, it doesn't make sense. First of all, we're living in Britain, and there's no way I could even keep up with it. There's no way I could even keep up with it. Not at all. Every minute that I wake up and I get onto Facebook, if somebody's saying something, and I'm just like, okay, is this even true? And then you have to go and research it. So I've looked at it from the fact of the point is I don't know anything about the politics, and I don't want to know anything about the politics because it's maddening. It's maddening.
That's the right way about it, Kevin. Just stick your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la.
Well, I mean, but what's the level of engagement that you should take? I mean, maybe that's not a political statement, but I'm just saying where is the line that you should draw, Richard? In your opinion, if between ignorance and bliss and knowing everything and being depressed and suicidal, where in the middle are you? Because even whenever you're reporting, even when you're following reporting, a lot of that is just, supposition on things. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do that. And then some of that never happens. And then some of the things happen. So, I mean, almost in a question of policy or policy adjustments, should you pay attention to what politicians say or only to when things pass? That's the interesting thing. One of the things that I've tried to figure out from people around here is they can't believe that Trump has the power to do these different things. That's the main thing that I get. Whether they agree with it or not, they can't understand how one person has the power in a democracy to do what he's doing when really seriously nobody else has said that's okay. So I don't have an answer for that. I said, well, it's not the way it's supposed to be, but it's the way it is.
I love how I said no politics, and you've immediately launched into a diatribe about politics.
It's not a question of, it's a governmental question, not a politics question. Because to me, politics means here's how I think about this problem and here's the solution to it, versus this is a system of government and I don't understand how it works. That's not political. That's what do you call that? It's a social studies question, not a political. Because I used to be a social studies teacher. I didn't teach politics. I just said, here's what the Bill of Rights says. Here's what the Constitution says. I don't interpret it. So that's not a political thing. You're not making a political statement.
Do you know what, Gabby? I hear First Amendment auditors say that all the time, and it annoys the crap out of me. Yes, America's a republic, and the way America has chosen its representation is through democracy. Republics are a state of government. Democracy is a way of picking said government.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a way, you look at it like due to the fact that when America was formed, you couldn't have it in a democratic way. You couldn't give every man one vote. You have to have a representational form of government because it was yonks ago. To be honest with you, due to the fact that technology exists now, you could literally make it into a democracy where everybody votes on every issue.
Yeah, but that would be incredibly inconvenient.
What, for who? Politicians?
Yeah, mostly politicians.
Yes. But I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, but that's the issue. Anyway, but so what else has been going on, Richard? You've been going out and you seen any birds or anything?
Yeah, it's been great this year for birds. We've had a few weird migrants shown up in England. The swallows are here now. The geese are all leaving.
Yes.
Always like to see the swallows. It's a sign of spring when you see them.
Yes. Well, it's been remarkably seasonable here, and I imagine you're not any different from where we're at. I mean, from that standpoint, like I said, as far as the crow flies, I think you're less than 50 miles away, so it can't be all that much different. And it was very warm. I swear to God, I heard an eagle the other day, but I don't know. but maybe it wasn't. And so I can't see very well anymore, so it's really hard for me to differentiate when it's seabirds. But no, I get a lot of different things over here because we're right at the bottom of the hill there. Got a lot of seabirds as well as sort of, I would guess you would call them inland birds, and they kind of all mix around here. So it's been really quite pleasant. A lot of bees and stuff out now. Plants are all growing up in the garden.
We've got a booted eagle down in Cornwall that's hanging around. Nobody knows why. It's that they think it's gone back to Europe now. But it was hanging around for a few months. That was pretty cool. Had an American coot show up. Glossy ibis. There's been a record amount of glossy ibis in England this year. Yep. Some gulls. Been a good year for birds so far.
Okay, what about this cloned what did they was it no, it wasn't that. Was it
right? Dude, you missed it last week. We went on a whole rant about that. So, suffice to say, I was extremely irritated because they're like saying they brought back the direwolf and they haven't even remotely. They genetically engineered some grey wolves to look like what they think direwolves look like.
Right.
And
yeah, so there's no way you can definitely clone, I would imagine, something.
They have the full genome. They possibly could. There were a few specimens of direwolves recovered from in frozen ice with enough intact DNA to do the entire genome and a few backups. So they could, in theory, make a direwolf, but they haven't. They just genetically engineered some grey wolves. And my thing is just like, why? There's no room for them in the ecosystem anymore. So all you're going to do is breed them to sit in zoos at best.
Right.
Worse, they're a rich person's pet.
Yes.
And I just don't see the point.
Well, I suppose
it's not a species we wiped out. It's like a lot of megafauna died off towards the end of the ice age because there just wasn't food for them no more.
Yeah.
Condors hung on because they lived on the coasts and they could eat seafood, washed up sea animals from the sea. But like the giant sloths, the Atlas bears, all the big things, and we didn't wipe them all out. They just died off naturally because there just wasn't no food for them anymore.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be any food for a direwolf in any ecosystem. So what was the point? And I feel like some rich bastard got this corporation to do it because he'd seen Game of Thrones. Like,
well, yeah, but I mean, they've also talked about doing the dodo and the thylacine and
they were trying to clone the thylacine for bloody hell since I was a kid. Since they found them pups, they've been trying to clone the thylacine, and I just don't see it happening.
Well, the thing that I'll say about it is the question of it is that the most people I think can't get past, Richard, is the fact that, when they were building the pyramids, there was still woolly mammoth going around, the planet. So the idea that humans were building the Great Pyramids, if you believe the standard timeline, and and then also hunting woolly mammoths. So do you think it's more of a question of these things were around, then they left, and so therefore, like, especially the dodo bird,
Look, you're never going to convince me the dodo wasn't natural selection. Just because we did it doesn't mean, it wasn't natural selection. The dodo did not strike me as an overly intelligent animal.
Right. Well, what did we use them for? Did we eat them? Is that what
We
it
ate
was?
them. That was it.
So,
There
but
were too
maybe
many humans and not enough dodo.
well, how do you know they're not like? Maybe we're going to get Kentucky Fried Dodo.
I mean, yeah, they could do that.
There's
That
always
would be
that.
a point. You know, it's the pointlessness that annoys me. Everyone's always gone on the timelines. Oh, look, they're bringing back direwolves, but no one in any article has ever said why. You know, and there are living animals that could use the money that was wasted on this.
Yeah, that's an interesting. It's yeah.
Just get me started again. Sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean, I have a theory on why that is, but it's awfully malevolent and dark, and so therefore,
Feel free to venture it.
Well, I think that one of the things about it is that if you look at it with with the rise of AI, really, literally, I think that these billionaire, trillionaire people have figured out that there should be about 4,000 or 5,000 people on Earth, and the rest would just be AI servants or whatever. Once we build the robots and then they can replicate themselves, there's no reason for us to be around. And so, if they get really good at genetically engineering people, then they can bring people back. They could kill us all off, and then they can bring back who they like. The really hot ones that they want to have sex with, because they're billionaires and that's what they do. They're all psychopathic billionaires who really don't care whether we live or die or anything else.
That comment wins the internet, Gabby. But yes, you're right.
What comment did Gabby make?
Gabby said, think of how much panda porn we could have made with that money.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that is very true. I mean, other than trying to get Carl Pilkington to get dressed up in the panda suit, march around, getting it all hot and bothered. It still doesn't work.
It still doesn't work. They suck. But I meant like other animals, not pandas, Gabby. You know how I feel about pandas.
Yeah. Big hairy cock teasers is what they are.
I mean, okay.
I don't know, mate. That's the beauty of doing this program on a Saturday night whenever I'm exhausted and had a few pints. It's like going down to the pub.
I got absolutely annihilated last weekend.
Oh, did you get obliterated?
Totally. I haven't been that drunk in years. And I don't think I should get that drunk ever again.
Yeah, well, you say that. Until the next time.
I mean, yeah.
So how bad was it? Was it just sort of, you couldn't look after yourself the next morning? You said something you shouldn't have done? You started a fight with somebody you shouldn't have started a fight with? Or you shit your bed? Or all of the above?
None of those. I just got paralytic to the point where I could barely talk.
Oh, well. Yeah, you want to watch out for that now, because you're getting old enough in the tooth. That takes a few days to get over,
Yeah, it took me like 3 days to get over.
Oh, yeah. You see, back if you were 20, 22, next morning you'd be right as rain.
Dude, in my 20s, I literally, one New Year's Eve, we walked from the pub to work and I was fine.
Yeah. No, I remember that. I remember just thinking to myself, boy, these old people can't hang. And that's because we couldn't. I mean, they couldn't. And it wasn't until
we can't.
Yeah. Whenever, yeah, it's like, yeah, you go for, like, seriously, I'd be wrecked for a week. You know what I mean? If I got drunk on a Saturday night, I probably would be prepared to be on the show the next Saturday and do nothing else in between. Walk up and down the steps making cups of tea for myself and basically getting nothing done. Ah, well, that's all right, I suppose. Ah,
Those were the days.
yeah, I mean, I suppose so, but I don't think people realize. I mean, there's like drunk, and then there's like full on English drunk. You know what I mean? That the level of drunk sometimes doesn't quite, you know. Like if you ever watch those old shows about like Newport or like Newcastle in the middle of the night or Sunderland at night, where the girls are walking around just plastered, that level of drunk that you don't seem to see in other places in the world, where just random, women crying, carrying their shoes down, then vomiting in the street, squatting in the corners and shitting, and then passing out in garbage cans. You don't see that in America
No, that's
sometimes.
a slice of Britishness, that is. My favorite thing on when I went to work on a Sunday morning would be seeing all the women walking around in their Saturday night clothes, dresses from houses and stuff, doing the walk of shame.
Oh yeah,
Just be like, morning.
yeah. Oh yeah, the sweet walk of shame. We see that's the thing, because because that's how it would have been, right? I mean, right? Not everybody here owns a car, so you can't just get in your car and just drive away. You've got to seriously make the journey. You've got to make the journey.
For real. I mean, Uber exists now, so you don't have to do a walk of shame, but back then you did.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. But not.
No,
But then again,
no, Purse. This is Green Hell. It is a relentlessly realistic game as well, but this is called Green Hell. This isn't the same game I was playing before. And I just did this because I was testing out OBS.
what's OBS?
It's the OBS Studio. It's for streaming and recording and stuff.
Oh,
Obviously,
okay. It's a program or something.
StreamYard's getting a bit dodgy about using it, so we'll probably be switching to Discord soon. And I need to use OBS to make that happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's got to be something with StreamYard's got to, sooner or later, it's got to go bad, because all things end up good for a long time, and then it doesn't. Then for some reason, they seem to deteriorate very quickly.
The thing about this game, Green Hell, is I've owned it for 4 years, and for 4 years I have failed to get the grasp of it at all. And for some reason today I finally got the hang of it, and I lasted for a good 11 days. You get dumped in the South American rainforest, and the object is just to survive. And you have to pull leeches off your body, deal with infections, wrap up wounds, and survive with just stone tools, basically. I mean, I've found iron veins, so I assume at some point I'll have to do smelting, but I'm not there yet. So yeah, this is Green Hell.
So that's interesting. And so basically, do you get any as you progress? How do you progress then? So you find items, and then I mean, you know how like in the old days you find some, oh, it's a power pack, and now you can smelt iron or something. Is that how that works, or do you have some sort of a list of
You work your
items?
way up like they did back in the day. You start with stone and wood. You make a stone axe or a wooden axe, coconut. See, you pick up a coconut there. Those are incredibly useful because you can use them as water catchers. because you can't drink water from streams because you get dysentery.
Right.
Which I feel like that was a bit too much realism. Like at some point, they should have been like, "Hey, look, let's make sure that they can actually have a little bit of fun in this game." But okay, so yeah, so you basically you get a crafting rock, and you just combine items and see what you can make. Like axe, you use vines and a stick and a stone. Make a pickaxe, you use a sharpened stone, a rope, a vine, and a piece of wood. A spear, you use a long stick and sharpened stone and rope. So I started there and moved my way up to obsidian.
Mm-hmm.
And I just unlocked a basic, smelter. Oh, this is pretty cool. You can shoot down beehives, but you have to avoid the bees, obviously, because otherwise you get a nasty rash. Again, guys. but it gives you the recipe for the beehive, but you have to get a queen bee to make the beehive work. And if you do like I did, which is really stupid, which is set up your beehive in your base and put the queen bee in, you're going to spend a lot of time getting stung by bees. So
Yes, so you get a lot of rashes.
yeah, so it's all about learning. It's all about learning.
So let me take it to the degree that, of course, the average 14-year-old boy in me wants to know. How descriptive is it whenever? I mean, how realistic is it when you get dysentery? I mean, what? How does that?
Yeah, it's fully animated out of both ends.
See, that is letting somebody have a good time, in my opinion. I would, maybe you're not as the person who's going through it, but I'd have to say that would be interesting to see. For us Germans, the toilet is a mundane thing, but for you,
basis of an entire culture.
Oh well.
But yeah. Yes, I do love hard games because, easy games are no fun. I mean, well, sometimes you want an easy game, don't you? But,
I'm just amazed at how realistic everything is anymore.
It's definitely getting. It's not even the most realistic game I've played. Like, what's it called? Scum. It's so realistic that when you get a gun, you have to load the clip with the bullet. You have to empty the clip, and you have to clean the clip out, and then you have to put the bullets back in.
Right.
And if your gun's not been cleaned, it'll jam.
Wow.
And I'm just like, yeah, God, come on, guys. It's a game.
Yeah, but that's the old question, isn't it? It's like, are you training people to do things? I suppose. Yeah, that's the idea. Are the little kids being trained to do things like what's that, Hunger Games or something? So then you're gonna just take them right off the computer and put them in the woods.
I mean, that's probably the end goal.
So this is your wee sort of furnace thing that you've made?
This is charcoal furnace.
Oh, okay.
And yeah. I don't know what happened there. I think somebody messaged me. Oh, yeah, I got leaked. No? What's going on? I was trying to figure it out. Oh, yeah, I thought it was the big fire, but no. Eventually I figured out it was a small fire. No, it wasn't. I didn't have to put a fire there at all. He had to just put sticks in there. Yeah, see, now I got it. And the controls are not very intuitive. Well, Frank, just because you got a botany of sugar gliders now that I'm totally jelly of. But yeah, as you can see, it's quite tedious at times. You have to stack all the woods. I'm just realizing now I don't have enough sticks. Oh, hello.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, no. I was just waiting for the see. I thought you were talking to somebody else.
No. I was talking to you.
Oh, okay. No, that's all right. I was just watching. I was watching you fail at making a fire. Okay. So, did you talk about Mickey Rourke?
No,
And
I didn't.
yeah, not last week. Do you
No.
want to talk about Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, right.
So, have you watched Celebrity Big Brother at all?
Not lately.
No. So, I mean, have you watched this season at all?
No.
Well, see, it's a thing, but it was interesting that obviously Jojo Siwa, who is somebody that was interesting. Sam didn't know who that was, and I said, "Oh yeah, the only reason I knew who it was is because she was on like the Learning Channel or whatever, that Dance Mom show and everywhere."
Don't fucking dignify TLC by calling it by that name, okay?
But it's like,
you learn from that is how slow we can sink as a species.
Well, apparently we learn about Jojo, and so Jojo C was on the program with Mickey Rourke, and honestly, Mickey Rourke said some things that were very sort of insensitive. But I then said to Sam, because she didn't remember who Mickey Rourke was, the actor is in 9.5 Weeks and a few movies like that, the wrestler. I think he was actually in Iron Man 2 or something as well. Did he play like the Russian Iron Man guy? Yes. Well, but it didn't he so I think he got in like a huge motorcycle accident or something, where he like technically died and had I think major brain damage and stuff like that. So Mickey Rourke's not been living with people for 5 or 6 years, apparently, because he's tried to work himself out. But that's not an excuse for them trying to go on a program and then saying really insensitive things to that. But sometimes I wonder, I when I was watching the program, if you watch it in full context, he just didn't look like he knew where he was at. You know what I mean? He didn't look like he was in any way, shape, or form aware of his surroundings. You know what I mean? Like, so he gets kicked off the show. He was really sort of aggressive towards one person and said some bad things about JoJo and her sexuality, etc., and some very misogynistic things. But
I just feel so bad for JoJo Siwa.
Well,
she's not a human being. She's just a fucking product.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Well, that's the thing that you'd have to worry about. From the one standpoint, you see one thing: a child who has been brought up by the machine and put through the ringer, and then a man who had been a product of the machine in the 80s, where technically in the 80s you could have totally said all the things that he said and just walked away from it. You know what I mean? Like people wouldn't even question why you were even saying it. They would have said, "Yeah, that's right." Because I grew up in the 80s myself. He had a I would say, if I was going to over analyze it,
Before I condone whatever, what did he say?
well, he first of all, he was making a joke like so he said, no, were you talking about me condoning it? No, all I'm saying is he made jokes like I want a fag, but not, I'm not talking about you, Jojo, some of those things. And then he said the basic, yeah, I could make you not gay if I spent 5 minutes with you type thing.
Mickey Rourke's what, 70 now?
Yeah, but
He was in a late 20s, early 20s.
Yeah, but you see, but what I'm saying is okay. Remember when Mel Gibson said stuff like, to the cop, hey, sugar tits and all that other stuff back in the 80s and stuff, and now Mel Gibson's like some expert on Christianity. All I'm saying is lots of people got away with saying lots of crazy ass shit back then because the society was that misogynistic. And they didn't think that. So I think that he had a brain injury and he is like living in an age that doesn't exist anymore. If you see what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like his social development stopped at that point and he was unable to change with the times. That's not an excuse for his behavior. That's just an observation. It doesn't make me feel sorry for the guy or anything like that, but it does make me think that knowing that Celebrity Big Brother exploited him. I think JoJo C was being exploited, and I thought Mickey Rourke was being exploited because I don't think that if anybody was to give them a psychological test, that they would have put Mickey Rourke on the program. They would have said, no, this is taking advantage of a sick man.
Yeah, but on the other hand, everything JoJo Siwa has ever done has been designed to take advantage of her. As I said, I feel very, very sorry for her.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the money helps, but...
Well, I mean, it just seems like she's young. She just goes through major changes all the time. It's like I said, it's sort of that Honey Boo Boo effect, isn't it? I mean, that you wonder, all these kids.
That's the line. Honey Boo Boo is actually the line I drew with TLC when it was just like, okay, this isn't the Learning Channel anymore. This is just garbage.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and again, someone should have done something.
Yeah.
Especially when the mum brought the fucking PDF cheese pizza in Minecraft boyfriend back to live with them.
Yeah.
Someone should have gone, okay, we're going to stop.
Well, no, I that's all I'm saying is obviously this is a product of, if you are a producer of a television program, where's your responsibility for putting these people together? I mean, they just throw these people to the woods. I'm not saying I feel bad for him. Mickey Rourke was going to get paid £500,000 for being on that show, and now he's not. So I don't know what he's going to get paid, if anything. But the thing about it is it's I don't know. Where's the line of responsibility for the people? You can't cut the program up and edit it, leave that all in, and then you know what I'm saying? If they had an ounce of respect for JoJo or whatever, they would edit it out and told the guy, no, you can't do that. Or we're going to edit it out and we're not going to have you on the live show or whatever. you know, where is their responsibility for editing things together? It was like I was watching, what was that show today? Married at First Sight, Australia or something. You know what I mean? And then, you know, it's you just realize to yourself that the show is so edited that literally if they're filming you 24 hours a day for 3 weeks, they're going to be able to present something that they can make into a huge
Yeah, cookie cutter.
epochal moment where you've just disrespected everybody or whatever, you know what I mean? And what I find interesting is, I think I told you one time I was really good friends with the band that won the making of the band with Johnny Lydon on it, and basically were just feeding them booze 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? And then so you know they kept him drunk all the time, and then next thing you know, somebody's doing something in Las Vegas, and then the show acts like, oh well, yeah, we didn't know they were going to do it. Well, you kind of were priming the pump. Yeah, you're not responsible for what people do, but then at the same point in time, by keeping people starved and you know you know uh, sleep deprived, starved, and full of booze, that's not reality either, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so it's it's an interesting it's an interesting thing, but it's good drama. You know what I mean? So these people get around, they all get drunk, and then they all start accusing each other of all kinds of stuff. And it's just, I mean, but it is entertaining. I can't, from that standpoint, I watch it. Am I just as guilty because I love the drama?
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? We watch these shows. I watch reality TV. I mean, yeah, it's garbage, but it works. So that's a good lot. That's actually a good point about who's responsible, because like we do enjoy it. I was just looking at what Mickey actually said on the show. It looks like that he was walking the line, if I'm being honest. So he must have been consciously aware of what he was saying if he was able to tiptoe up to the line.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you could make an argument for diminished capacity.
Well, I mean, it's just a matter of, you know how it is. I don't watch every minute of it. You know what I mean? I am one of those people that gets up, walks around. It's a sort of a thing where it's a background thing for me. You know what I mean? And that's just probably not very good. But I get in a situation where I am doing something, and I sort of half paying attention, half not paying attention. That sort of idea of I'm taking some of it in, but not all of it in. So I mean, from what I could see, yeah, he did cross the line. He definitely did. There's no doubt about that. But from the standpoint of it, I just, it's just, I just never know. I just know sooner or later somebody can make you look like a bad guy, no matter what. I mean, Mother Teresa, but bad guy. You know what I mean?
What a cunt.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you've been, yeah, that person led a perfect life. Well, that proves they're an asshole. You know what I mean?
I would be deeply suspicious of anybody that lived a perfect life. I'd be like, all right.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the fact that they didn't mess up means that they're a complete prick. You know what I mean?
Obviously got a cheat code.
Well, that's where we're at now, isn't it? Up is down, down is up, bad is good, and if you act good, then you're really secretly bad. Yeah.
JoJo is not a lesbian, Gabby. JoJo's whatever her fucking cadre of producers tell her she has to be that week, which is why I just feel bad for her.
Well, there was a controversy the other day because fans of JoJo said that Big Brother. Well, you see, there was a scene between a man and a friend, two friends, a male and a female friend, JoJo being the female friend, and then so they were talking to each other, and they got in trouble because she was making a sign on his or writing something into her hand, at the palm of his hand, and you're not allowed to make sort of these quiet gestures or whatever in case you're plotting to get somebody put out of the game or something. Well, it turned out that they were talking about JoJo's sexuality, you see, and so they got in trouble. JoJo went to the diary room, talked to Big Brother, and then she said, well, no, it had nothing to do with what you're thinking about. It's just about, sexuality. And so then Big Brother said, well, can I ask about what your sexuality is? And so she said, I would have to think that I'm non-binary. You see what I'm saying? She says, well, some, there's lesbians. I don't feel like I'm that. I don't feel like I'm a woman. I don't feel like I'm a man. I don't feel like this. I guess I would have to feel like I was non-binary. You see, she's had sex with men. She's had sex with females. And so, that was the thing. So then that was the controversy, because then they said Big Brother forced her to, accept a label on her sexuality, whatever that was, so
Well, that's bollocks. They just asked her a question she didn't have to answer.
well, yeah, but you see, that's the thing, isn't it? The very act of asking a question now is offensive.
Yeah, no, asking a question is not offensive. Unless the question is it okay if I can call you the N-word and then hang you? Then asking a question is offensive.
No, I understand that, but you see, that's the thing. But there was a genuine amount of people who were offended by the fact that Big Brother asked the question of what her sexuality was, even though and maybe you shouldn't bring
that. Then she can just say, I'm sorry, but my producer / mother has told me I'm not allowed to answer that question. Can I go and dress like an idiot and dance stupid for attention because they've told me that's what I need to do? That's what she should have said.
Yeah. And wear that silly hat thing that she's wearing. Like
I just feel terrible for her. It's awful. It's absolutely awful, because I'm surprised that it's no surprise that she doesn't think she's a woman or a man or a lesbian or gay. She's got no idea what any of that is, but she's never been given the chance to explore any of that.
No.
It's been shunted, packaged, and bloody planned, and it's an awful, awful thing to do to someone. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, she's a piece of shit," and I see lots of JoJo Siwa hate, and I get it. She's annoying, she's irritating, but she is a fucking not a human being. She was created. She's totally fake, and it's horrible.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Hopefully, one day.
Hey, Purse, check it out. Check this scene out in the game. Sorry, Kevin.
No. Hopefully, one day she'll, come into her own. A lot of these people don't, though. You see, that's the thing. I think we're far more empathetic of child stars now. But imagine being like a Drew Barrymore or some kind of a, Dana Plato or one of those people like Todd Bridges or anybody that was in any of those shows from the 1970s and 80s that were just child actors and then hung out to dry, and then that was it, and
I was referring to this bit, Perth, where I kill this tribesman and steal his land. But Drew Barrymore and Miley Cyrus, they got a chance to rebel,
Yeah.
you know, and she's not been given a chance to rebel. Even this whole karma arc has, just been, again, just crafted for her by outside forces. It's not her actually expressing itself. It's a studio saying, "Okay, we want you to act like this."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're right. You're right. You're right. Oh, you could steal his fire now.
Yeah, I just totally killed him, and now I'm stealing his fish and his birds and his land.
Yeah.
As is my right as a British man. And it's actually offensive for you to make fun of my culture. So,
Yeah. All right, big man. I better get going because it's officially Easter now. Happy Easter.
Bloody hell, that was a fast hour. It's nice to have you back.
Yeah. Well, we'll continue on like before. Like I said to you earlier, maybe people don't know. I had to have all my teeth removed and put a whole new bridge up across its front, and it had gotten infected, and I couldn't speak without any teeth for a while. So they're all fixed now. I'm not going to die, and so now I can annoy people on a weekly basis.
Well, sweet. And we'll have you back next week then if you want. Tom will be back as well, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, well, hopefully Nikki feels better too, and Tom's probably having a good week off from teaching, and
he's had 2 weeks off.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's it. How it is. Yeah. I suppose you know what they should do with the teachers is not give them 2 weeks off and make them go to Birmingham and clean up some rubbish.
And we didn't talk about EastEnders. Damn it! Have you kept up with it?
Yeah, but we'll catch it next week. There's too much. Yeah, it's too much. And did you know that Patsy was on Big Brother?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Bianca's been on Big Brother this whole time. You haven't watched it. Yeah.
Well, she just left the show on Friday. So.
Oh, did she leave?
Yeah, her and Sonia have left. They played Julia's theme, so they ain't coming back.
Yeah. Wow. I was wondering that because I saw a thing the other day where they did a retrospective of Sonia from the start to the finish. So I thought something had happened, but then I must have watched everything except Friday's episode then. So anyway, I knew they. Well, anyway, we'll catch up with it next time.
We'll catch up with it next week. We will return next week, despite the hopes of many. It's good night from me, and it's good night from Kevin. Good night, everyone.